In the past few days, I've observed that Apostle Chiwenga started again attacking President Advocate Nelson Chamisa. And let me be honest with you. If God ordained somebody to lead a nation, God cannot fail on his promise and will not fail on his promise. And we are going to do this response, and then we will, at a certain point in time, do another prophetic review of what Apostle Chiwenga prophesied himself, so as to understand his position. Is this position coming from God or not?
In 2022, I had a conversation with Nelson Chamisa.
Okay.
I told him that his politicking methods are blunt.
Okay.
I actually said, if you continue to do politics the way you are doing them now, you'll be embarrassed in next year's elections. And I said, next year's elections will mark the beginning of the end of your political career. This was not a prophecy. It's not everything that I speak in the public. When I speak in the public, don't assume that I don't speak in private.
Yeah, okay.
You understand?
Yes. Yes.
And what I'm saying now is not a lie. I don't lie on the pulpit. You don't know that. Probably because you've been around people who love lying on the pulpit. The pulpit is a sacred place for me. If I want to lie to you, I can lie from my house. I can lie from somewhere else, not when I'm preaching. This is the only place that I honor to the extent that I'm willing to embarrass myself,
Amen.
but upholding the dignity of the platform.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
That's how much the pulpit matters to me.
Yes.
The moment I start to speak lies from the pulpit, it is no longer a pulpit. It's now something else.
Yes.
We can as well bring our girlfriends onto the pulpit and defile it anyhow. It's a place that must hold deep holiness values.
Yes. Yes.
Even those who want to lose their minds, they mustn't desecrate the pulpit. It's important to me. So I don't cook things up to sound nice.
No.
I don't. For example, right now, I've just told you that I had a conversation with Nelson Chamisa in 2022. And I'm not the only person who had this conversation. I don't want to mention other names. We had a conversation with other very senior people in our country where some people were concerned. And they said, men of God, we know that you talk to this man. Can you help him? This thing is not going to work. We have tried to talk to him. It was months later that I spoke publicly and condemned the issues to do with putting the people into vulnerable positions while doing political activities like rallies, where people's lives are lost. Remember I said that? And people said, why don't you speak to him in private? But I had conversations earlier, the previous year, in private. We used to talk very, very closely. So I said to him, this method you are using is fatal to your political career.
Yes.
You have to change. The people you have around you are misleading you. You won't win elections the way you want to do things, but most importantly, you are putting people's lives in harm's way. At first he said, I hear me, you men of God, we'll pray about it, we'll find a solution. Until he eventually decided that he didn't want to talk to me anymore. So I said, it's fine. What I'm happy about is I've spoken. So he came up with a group of AFM pastors who started praying for him, walking around with him, doing rallies with him. And I'm sure they were saying to him, God says you are going to be victorious. They are like the 400 prophets of Ahab who prophesied, and Zedekiah's 2 ivory horns, who said, go to Ramoth Gilead, you shall be successful. And now we have people complaining about the pastors for ED movement, but they are quiet about pastors for Chamisa. They were pastors for Chamisa. Yes. They are doing the same things. Don't be deceived.
Yes.
But you will never see Chiwenga there now. I can never be a pastor for ED.
No.
I can never be a pastor for Chamisa. I speak from the church.
Amen.
And when I come to you with God's words, and I go back to the church.
Amen.
I will never be pastors for anyone. So I said those words to him. He didn't listen. Of course he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen not only to me, but to everyone who is sound-minded. There are certain things you can't advise yourself to.
Yes.
There are certain things that you must listen to people from outside. People are looking at you from a distance who are not emotionally connected to what you are doing. Sometimes they give you more valuable advice than those who are close to you. Because once you are advised by people who have vested interest in your success, they now have a bias that might actually be detrimental to your progress. Even as I sit here, there are certain things about my life that I take advice from non-believers. I have friends, I have relatives, I have acquaintances and colleagues who I call and say, I have this idea, what do you think about it? And they say, oh, I don't think it's a good idea. I say, thank you. Of course, I won't take advice concerning the doctrine. The doctrine comes from one source, so I'm sure where to go. If I need advice concerning preaching, my boss is still alive, and I still have access to him. So it's an example of things that I've said before that have happened. You remember I said it in 2022, I said, next year's elections are a waste of money. If you remember, if you don't have a short memory, you must remember this. Pastor Chuma, do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
I said, there is no need to go for an election. We can use those funds to build hospitals,
Yeah.
Yes.
to refurbish our roads.
Yes.
From what we heard from the parliamentary reports, our government of Zimbabwe used no less than 190 million to run the 2023 elections. Waste of money. That was waste of money. That was waste of money. That election was a farce. It is an illegitimate election. It produced no legally elected president because the process of election was flawed. It was manipulated, it was tilted, it was engineered to favor the ruling party. As we speak right now, Zimbabwe has gone back to where it was before 1999, a nation without an opposition party. You don't understand the dire consequences of having a democratically elected president running a government in the absence of the checks and balances of a vibrant opposition party. It's like a train which has lost its braking system.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Think about it, that Zimbabwe has no opposition since 2023. Think about it right now. Tiri kurarama munyika isina opposition. Haina opposition government yedu. Iri kuita zvainoda. It's cruising with a cruising speed.
Yes. No breaks.
It's a cruising missile. So when we have a nation, a government that is running in the hands of a ruling party that is not checked and balanced by an opposition party, there is no democracy.
Yes.
The opposition party in Zimbabwe did not die a natural death. It was murdered. But it was murdered while it was in the process of committing suicide. We mustn't forget that. Blaming ZANU-PF for the demise of the opposition party is like a woman who has gotten her fourth pregnancy from a different man. She still blames men for being liars and promising food, sweet, good for nothings. Varume vanomitisa kani ezvinoti ane nhumbu yechi4 teida kutoroorwa but zvinonetsa ndezvekuti unonge uchiti watosangana nemurume anoroora obva akupa nhumbu obva aenda.
Varume matsotsi.
Varume matsotsi. Ndosaka tiine vana 3 nevana baba vakasiyana. Iko zvinezvi ndine nhumbu yemwana wechi4. Varume vakashata. The opposition did not die because of the ruling party alone. It was committing suicide. ZANU-PF killed someone who was already committing suicide. Of course, we can see the fingerprints of ZANU-PF in the devastation and the decimation of the MDC party. We can see it. But entirely blaming the ruling party is not a holistic approach. They did a fair amount of effort themselves to destroy themselves. And this is an important analysis so that if we are going to have another opposition,
Yes.
we won't get to this place again and blame the ruling party again. We have to look at our contribution and say, what did we do wrong?
Yeah.
before we saw ZANU-PF planting mobs and spies and mercenaries to go and destroy the opposition from within, what was it doing by itself? That wasn't sustainable. Ukupombote kuti mombe dzinongopinda muyadi mangu dzidya muriwo wangu every day. Vanhu vane mombe havasi kuvharira mombe dzavo. Unogona kubvunzawo kuti ko chii chandakatadzawo kuita chasaka mombe dzipinde muyadi mangu. Vamwe hadzisi kupinda muyadi mavo wena. Asi mombe dziriko. Kuti pane zvekuitwa nevamwe zvausati wagona iwo kuita. So let's talk about that later. I just wanted to speak about this. It's important.
One of the key notable things that Apostle Chiwenga is working together now, Chingono and others. That is the group in which Apostle Chiwenga. And if I'm to be honest, when you see Apostle Chiwenga attacking VP Chiwenga, he's not doing so wholeheartedly. He is doing so to protect his public image. That is the reason why he tries to distance himself from General Chiwenga. I'm telling you this from a well-informed position that Apostle Chiwenga na VP Chiwenga, they have a tight relationship, a very good relationship. Since the days he was still in Zimbabwe and General Chiwenga was still within the military and everything was happening. These people are vanotowirirana. And that man has been protecting Apostle Chiwenga up to a point when his own life was now in danger. That is when you see Apostle Chiwenga moving out. So that must be clear. And these people, they are working that General Chiwenga succeeds Emerson. So for him to be able to succeed Emerson, they need to create a way for him. And the person who can stop that is Chamisa. Once Chamisa is destroyed, they can now focus on Tagwire and others. So right now, they want to make sure that there is no one from the opposition to talk about, such that when the challenges against Tagwire starts, no one will then say it's time for Chamisa. That is the whole agenda. We talked about these issues because we had vivid dreams about the attacks on Nelson Chamisa, and I posted them right here online. So when you see all these attacks are meant to actually tarnish the image of Nelson Chamisa, make Chamisa lose support, and just that. And once they've achieved that, you will see them at the right time bringing out a candidate which they believe will be better. Apostle Chiwenga contradicts himself. If you go back to the 2014 prophecy, he said the person who is going to lead Zimbabwe does not need to do anything. It's God who is going to do everything. That is what he said. And right now, why is he pestering Chamisa this, Chamisa that, Chamisa this, Chamisa that? If you are so clear in 2014 that the person who leads Zimbabwe does not need to do anything. And the person he was saying, Aripana first treat in the kind and Kanomona, it was Chamisa. I have the details. He went to meet Nelson Chamisa and gave him that prophecy kuti wewe ndio wakanzochatora democratic process from Tsvangirai and you lead Zimbabwe. He did so, and I have the evidence. And when the time is right, I will bring that evidence. So Apostle Chiwenga must not come to fool us, because he's the one who said Mwari vanditi munhu achatongamira Zimbabwe hana chaanofanira kumbozoita. So why do you now come and say, I told him that your political this and that, inodi. You are now blaming his political stance, but you said Mwari vakati hana chimwe chinhu chaanofanirwa kuita kuti atungamirire nyika. And you said it clearly, iwewe, kuti ane vanhu vari kushanda navo vasiri right, vakazoita sei. Now we are in the phase yekuti hachashande nevanhu ivavo vese vaunongoda kungochindongedza nekupoinda iwewe. But you are angry because the stance of Nelson Chamisa is so clear. Imimi Apostle Chiwenga muri munhu waMwari. Why are you supporting vanhu vanosupporta ma gay rights? Tendai Biti wamuri kushanda naye, Hopo Chingono wamuri kushanda naye, vese vanosapota magay rights. Mukoma wako Chiwenga wauri kusapota iwewe, wauri kushanda futi naye. Ari kuita chikatholiki chaunogara uchituka every time on social media munhu waMwari. Why can't you deal with those issues? Why can't you be a man who stands by the truth and with the truth only? Whatever which has happened to the opposition, you cannot blame Chamisa. You know what happened. You know how this military is operating. Urukumunzwa sanyatwa chitaura achiti opposition haife yakatonga zani chatonga usvika madhonga amera nyanga. Repeatedly that. A military man akataura achiseva akataura asiri kuseva. You ignore all those things. Mubvunzo wangu ndewekuti naiva Chiwenga, why can't you come back to Zimbabwe and advise Nelson Chamisa from Zimbabwe? Why can't you do it? Nelson Chamisa is in Zimbabwe. Why do you want Chamisa to do what you can't do? You are a man. Equally like Nelson Chamisa, you are a man. You have charisma, you have popularity, you have everything. Why can't you come to Zimbabwe and do what Chamisa is not doing? You say, Chamisa, let us do it together. I'm going to help you. Like what other men of God have been doing. Vanhu vaMwari kare mubhaibheri vaiuya vomira nevamwe vavo vavari kuda kubatsirana navo. But you are running away as a man of God. Why are you afraid? Who is not afraid? Chamisa is not, because he's there in Zimbabwe. You are afraid, you are scared. That is the reason why you ran away. So I respect you. I don't hate you. And all I need is be honest. You are not being honest. You say that you don't lie when you are on the pulpit. But you know for sure that you are hating Chamisa. You are lying. So be straightforward. Be a man. Come back to Zimbabwe. Let us face ZANU-PF together. We have faced a lot. We have achieved a lot. Under these circumstances, we have achieved a lot. You are lying. Because we are seeing achievements. But those achievements are not being publicized because we know the culture of ZANU-PF. We know chikara chatiri kushanda nacho. So we are not going to publicize my achievements. But all I can tell you is we have great achievements. We are now in a better position than ever before. It's a revolution. It's a process. We knew about the 2023 elections. We knew about the disturbances. We knew what we were facing. But we were prepared to face it. We faced it. And we are now in a new phase. Mnangagwa will go, ZANU-PF will go. And you never preserve ZANU-PF. And imemi zamuru kuronga na wamuru kuronga now. You have failed. That is the only truth I can tell you. Mafoira. Chamisa achaitonga Zimbabwe.